My name is Yaokun, and I live in a small broken village near the Isle's mainland, called Hoeitu Village. The villagers looked down on me since childhood, saying that I was a wild child without fathers and mothers, and I didn't even have a magical talent like this. Every day, I was either fucked or beaten by that helper. I don't agree, but what can I do? I could only grit my teeth, pick up some firewood, eat some wild game, and try to eat it with a meal. This day is the fortress in the village. It is said that at this time of year, the most talented young people in the village can receive the blessing of the divine spirit and awaken the power of magic. The village chief said that he was a fair choice, but in fact he had already defined his son's great beef. The guy who was Big Bull bullied me every day, relying on his low-level fire magic to show off his power. Today he was dressed like a peacock, standing in front of the fortress, and sneered at me, "Yaokun, don't be so hot about waste. The fortress is not something you can touch." The people around me burst into laughter, and the sound made my ears hurt. I clenched my fists, and my heart was filled with anger, but I still lowered my head and stood at the back of the crowd. I know, they just want to see me go crazy. But I just don't agree. I don't have the chance to try it. I don't have the qualifications for it. The ritual began, and the village chief recited a bunch of mantras that he couldn't understand, and the dark stone on the fort began to shine. The big bull walked up with big slam and pressed his hand on the stone. Sure enough, a small group of flames came out of his palm. Although they were as weak as fire, the villagers still applauded and praised him, saying that he was the hope of the village. "Tisk, that's it?" I muttered in a small voice, but I didn't expect to be heard by the big bull. He turned over his head, his face darkened, and walked towards me. "Waste, what are you talking about?" "I'll say something again." I felt nervous, but I didn't accept it. I said, "Can you get a smoke from this flame?" The crowd burst into laughter again, and this time it was the big bull. His face suddenly swelled, and he raised his hand and punched me. The force was quite strong. I fell directly to the ground, and bleeding from the corner of my mouth. "You mother is looking for death." Daniel wanted to take action again. The village chief coughed and said calmly, "It's enough, the sacrificial period is not a problem. Yaokun, if you are rude, you will be out of the village." I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and got up. The fire in my heart became stronger and stronger. I looked at the forage and suddenly my brain became hot and I rushed over regardless of the land. "I want to try it too. You can touch anything," I shouted, and my hand slapped directly on the black stone. "Looking for death?" The big bull roared, and the village chief was so angry that he glared at him, but at this moment, a dazzling red light suddenly burst out from the black stone on the sacrificial fort, which scared everyone back. Then, a heat flowed from the stone into my palm, like red iron water, directly diamonding into my body. I screamed in pain, my body trembling, but the power became stronger and stronger, as if it had ignited all the blood in my body. What's going on?" The village chief was stunned, and the big bull's eyes widened, unable to even fit his mouth. The next second, I felt something exploded in my body, and a black-red flame sprayed out from my palm, directly burning an old tree next to the fort into ashes. The fire was as fierce as a wilderness, and the air was twisted. The whole scene was dead silent, and everyone looked at me, as if they had seen a ghost. The village chief trembled and pointed at me. You are a monster. This is taboo magic. It's impossible, how can it be on you? Forbidden magic?" I was confused myself. I had never heard of this thing. But looking at the black-red flame, I felt a sense of pleasure in my heart. It turns out that I am not a waste, I also have strength. But before I could come back to my senses, a low roar came from afar, like a roar of a wild beast. The villagers were panicked, and some people shouted, "It's a demon! The demon is coming!" I turned around and saw several wolf-shaped demons with sharp teeth rushed out of the forest and headed straight for the village. Although these guys are not high-end goods, they are definitely a disaster for us as small villages. "Run!" the village chief shouted. The first big bull was so scared that he wanted to escape. But those magical beasts were too fast and rushed to the entrance of the village in the blink of an eye, and the head was directly swept towards a child. The child cried so much that he forgot to run away. My brain was so hot that I didn't know where the skull came from, and I pushed the child off. The demon claws grabbed me directly, and I raised my hand subconsciously, and the black-red flame suddenly appeared again, and with a bang, it burned the demon into a group of coke. The fishy smell spread out, and several other magical beasts seemed to be scared, so they stopped and roared. "Are you?" I gritted my teeth and felt the power in my body still boiling. I yelled, and another flame sprayed out, and this time I directly swept over the remaining demons and burned them all into ashes. After only a few seconds, there was only a pile of black charcoal and burnt smell left at the entrance of the village. I gasped and turned over and found that all the villagers were looking at me, their eyes turning from shock to fear. The big bull sat on the ground, his face turned pale and could not even speak. The village chief Kazuki shook his voice. "Yaokun, what are you? This kind of power cannot be normal. I saved you, what are you?" I sneered, feeling both angry and disappointed. I just thought that they would be grateful to me and would admit that I was not a waste. But now, they looked at me like a monster. He is a demon. The holder of the forbidden magic will bring disaster. The village chief suddenly shouted, and the others also agreed, "Yes, let him go. You can't let him stay in the village." "Let me go?" I was stunned for a moment, and my chest seemed to be blocked. I looked at the big bull, he avoided my eyes and muttered in his mouth, "Waste, no, monster." There was no last hope in my heart. "Okay, I'm blind. Save you, ungrateful." I gritted my teeth and turned away. None of the villagers dared to swear by me, and they even retreated far away, for fear that I would set another fire. I left the Huetu village without returning, and walked into the deserted forest outside the village with a wounded and angry stomach. The night was getting colder, and I found a hole to hide, and my brain was in a mess. What exactly is the black-red flame? Why do they say it is forbidden magic? I saved someone, why did I become a monster? Just as Usi was thinking, a sound of footsteps suddenly came from the forest. A cleat policeman stood up, clamped his fists tightly, and asked in a low voice, "Who is there?" An old man sounded, "Young man, don't be nervous, I'm not an enemy." Then, an old man in a gray robe walked out of the shadow of the tree, leaning on a wooden stick, his face full of patterns, but his eyes were so bright that he seemed to be able to see through me. "Who are you? What do you want to fuck?" I took a step back and the power in my body began to stir again. The old man smiled and said, "My name is Jing Shi, and I am a wandering magician. I have been looking for you for a long time, Yaokun." "Look for me? What does it mean?" I was confused. How did this old man know my name? He didn't answer directly, but pointed to my palm. "I just was in the village. The power you used was not ordinary magic. It was taboo magic, the most dangerous and powerful force on the Great Wall of Elsa. And you are the son of the prophecy, and the destiny of this Great Wall of China is determined to change the fate of this Great Wall." Son of prophecy? What's the point? My brain became even more troublesome. Why did this old man say something like a book of heaven? Jing Shi's face turned right and his voice fell down. "The ancient prophecy said that the world will be swallowed by darkness, and only the son of prophecy can bring to save the light of dawn. The power within you is to prove it. But this power will also cause trouble. The power of darkness has seen your existence. They will kill you at all costs." I was surprised. Although I didn't understand it very much, it was not a good thing to hear. Then what should I do? Just wait for being chased and killed? Of course not. Jing Shi slammed the head, took out an old map from it, and sent it to me. "You must embark on a journey and find the lost artifact. Only it can help you control the forbidden magic and destroy the power of darkness. I will accompany you and teach you how to use this power." I looked at the map with some strange symbols and places on it, and my heart was filled with mixed feelings. Just after being caught by the village, the identity of a son who predicted appeared again, so why would he be chased by dark forces? how did you live like a dream? But I looked down at my palm, remembered the black-red flame, and the scared eyes of the villagers, and suddenly I understood I can no longer go back. Since they don't want me, I will set out away myself. One day, I will make everyone who looks down on me regret it. Okay, I'll go with you. I looked up at Jingxi with a calm look, but I have a condition to help me become stronger, so strong that no one dares to call me a waste again. Jingxi smiled and pointed, boy, you have ambition. Let's go, the road is still long. I followed him and walked towards the deep forest. The night wind blew over, carrying a slight gaze, but a fire was burning in my heart. This is just the beginning. I, Yaokun, will never be lowered anymore. I followed Jingxi and left Huitu village, and there was still a group of people in my brain. What is the son of prophecy? What is the forbidden magic? It sounds so good, but it doesn't rely on any thoughts. But seeing this old man's face really look, I didn't ask much, so I could only follow him to the deep forest. The night became darker and darker, and the wind blew the leaves, and I always felt unsteady in my heart, as if something was staring at me in the dark. Old, where are we going? I finally couldn't help but ask. Jingxi didn't look back, and his voice was low. First, find a safe place to teach you to control that power. You are like a wild horse without a tie now. No matter how strong your power is, it will only harm yourself. Control? How to control? I slapped my head, thinking of the black-red flames in the village, and my heart was still a little furious. That thing is indeed powerful, but I'm also afraid that it will be out of control one day, so I will burn myself directly. Don't worry, you will know when you get to the place. Jingxi didn't explain much, but just accelerated her pace. I curled my lips, didn't ask anymore, and followed silently. After about half a minute of leaving, I finally arrived at a secret valley. The valley was covered with steep stone walls, like a natural barrier. Jingxi stopped and pointed to a flat open space at the bottom of the valley and said, "It starts here. The root of your forbidden magic is chaos and destruction. If you are not careful, you will backfire. So the first step is to learn to suppress it." Pressure? Shouldn't it be more vigorous? I was stunned, thinking that the old man's idea was a bit strange. Jingxi sneered and shook his head. Do you think taboo magic is an ordinary fireball technique? Once this force is out of control, it can burn a square of 10 miles into ashes. If you want to become stronger, you must save your life first. I was a little worried by him, and I said, okay, how can I do what you said? In the next few days, Jingxi began to teach me some strange ways. It was not that I let me use magic directly, but that I forced me to sit quietly, close my eyes, and feel the black-red power in my body. He said this is called inner vision, and you have to dialogue with your own strength before you can catch it. But this thing is simple to say and very hard to make. Every time I close my eyes, I feel that the power is irritating in my body like a wild animal, making my 5 internal organs hurt, and sweat flows down. Old man, can this really work? Why do you feel that I am abused? On the 3rd day, I couldn't help but wiped my sweat and started to complain. Jingxi sat beside her, holding a piece of dry grass in her mouth, and slowly said, "What's the hurry? Taboo magic cannot be mastered overnight. I endure it, and then it's just the beginning." I gritted my teeth, stopped talking, and continued to close my eyes and thrust hard. To be honest, I was almost tortured these days. That power came out from time to time, as if he was deliberately trying to fight me. I have tried to give up several times, but when I think of the contemptuous eyes of the villagers, and the face that Dainyu deserves to be beaten, I told myself, Yaokun, you can't accept it. On the 7th day, I finally felt a little. When I closed my eyes, the black-red power was no longer a mess, but was like a group of flames, slowly jumping in my mind. I tried to use my mind to press it, and sure enough, it was a little settled. Although it would still occasionally slam, it would at least not make me feel full of pain. I seemed to be able to control it a little. I opened my eyes and shouted excitedly. Jingxi glanced at me and pointed, "It's not bad, it's faster than I think. But this is the first step, and we have to try the battle next." A real war? My eyes lit up, and I finally got really good. Without saying much, he got up and took me to the edge of the valley. With a swipe, several dummies condensed by soil and stones suddenly appeared on the ground, each of which was a life-sized person, and the movements were quite flexible. Use your power to break them. But remember, you can only use 3 pointers, and if you have too much, you will lose control. Jing, she said. I clicked my head, took a deep breath, and raised my hand to a dummy. The power in my body was tweaked by me, turning into a small group of black-red flames, which came out of my palm. With a bang, the dummy was blown into pieces, with no ashes left. I was shocked by myself. This was even more powerful than the one in the village. 3-point power, do you understand? Jing, she browed and said with a warning. I understand, I'll try again. I hurriedly regained some strength and then targeted another dummy. This time the flame was a little smaller, but it still easily burned the dummy into scum. After several consecutive times, I became more and more skilled, and I couldn't stop the excitement in my heart. It turns out that this is the feeling of taboo magic, it's so exciting. But just as I was so proud, a sudden burst of footsteps came from outside the valley, and the impact of metal collisions. Jingshi's face changed and she said in a deep voice, "Someone has come, hide it." My heart was nervous and I hurriedly followed him to hide behind a big stone. It took not long before several men in black robes appeared at the entrance of the valley, and a cold breath blew on their bodies. They held long swords in their hands, and strange runes were engraved on the sword blades. They looked like they were not good people. "Head, is it sure? That guy's breath is nearby." One of the men in black robes said in a low voice. The sound of sand was as sandy as matte paper. Another tall man in black robes snorted coldly, "Wow, I won't recognize the fluctuations of forbidden magic. Lord Sufeng ordered that this kid must be killed and he must not grow up." When I heard the name Sufeng, my heart skipped a beat. Jingshi's voice said to me, "They are the minions of dark forces, and the visitors are not good. Don't make a sound, I'll deal with it." My heart sank, knowing that I can't hide, so I simply stood up and gritted my teeth and said, "What's the matter with me? Want to fight?" The tall man in black robes sneered and pulled out his sword. "Boy, it's quite a bit. Unfortunately, you have to die today. Taboo magic is not something you can possess. Waste?" I heard this and the fire came up. There are some trials to see who is a waste. Jingshi wanted to slap me, but I had already rushed up. The men in black robe didn't say anything, and just slapped and slashed over. They were so fast that they were still carrying a black air on the sword, as if they could corrupt the air. I instinctively raised my hand, and a black-red flame sprayed out, directly burning the man in the black robe in front to ashes. But the other couples were not scared, but instead rushed over faster. "Be careful, they have magic resistance." Jingshi shouted, and at the same time, a cane and a light shield pressed in front of me, and he reluctantly held a ball. But the black air still penetrated, making my skin sting. Damn, these guys are so hard. I gritted my teeth and released several flames in succession, but they seemed not afraid of burning at all, and they were forced to carry my attack. One of the men in black robes stabbed in a ball. I couldn't hide enough, and a hole was open on my shoulder, and blood flowed down instantly. "Boy, that's all you can do?" The tall man in black robe laughed, and the black air on the sword became even more intense, and he stabbed me directly in my heart. I felt like this was going to be done. But at this moment, the force inside my body suddenly ran away like a boiling rock fog, instantly breaking my control. "Go to your mother!" I shouted, and didn't care about the 3-point force. All the strength was sprayed out from my palm. The black-red flames exploded like a flood, and they swallowed the tall black-robed man with a sword. Before he could even make a cry, it turned into a pile of ashes. Several other black-robed men were also affected, leaving no one left. I gasped heavily, and the wound on my shoulders was so painful, but looking at the ground covered in gray, I felt a sense of pleasure in my heart. The first time I killed it, it feels so good. "Yaokun, you!" Jingshi walked over, her face complexion, "That was just now, beyond your limit." Fortunately, there was no backlash, otherwise you would have to be done. Hey, it's okay, just live. I grinned, but before I finished speaking, I almost fell into a slight foot. Jingxi held me and slammed my head. Young people, don't be too arrogant. Let's find a place to get hurt first. We found a hidden corner in the valley, and Jingxi helped me deal with the wound. When I was searching for the things in the black-robed men, I accidentally discovered a strange piece of fragments, all black, with some unintelligible runes engraved on them, and I felt a cold touch when I held them in my hand. What is this? I asked. Jingxi's eyes lit up and he took a closer look. This is part of the lost artifact. I didn't expect that these guys actually had it. Yaokun, this fragment can amplify your forbidden magic and help you control it better. Really? I heard that Lima was energetic. Jingxi pointed the head and taught me how to absorb the power of fragments. He let me hold the fragments tightly and closed my eyes to feel it. Sure enough, a stream of ice-cold energy rolled into my palms and merged with the black-red power. Although the process was a bit difficult, after the end, I clearly felt that the strength was more stable and the wounds on my shoulders were more fit faster. Awesome, this thing works really well. I snatched my hands excitedly, and a small group of flames burst out, which was much more accurate than before. Don't be too early to wake up. The artifact fragments are not just this one, but more are scattered in the greater Elsa. We have to continue searching. Jingxi put away the map and said with a serious expression. And since the dark force can find this, it means that they have locked your breath. The greater nuisance is still behind. I clicked the head, and although there was a little pressure in my heart, I was more expecting. The feeling of strength is so strong. Just as we were about to continue the road, the valley suddenly came again. This time, he was not a man in black, but a young woman in light armor, holding a long gun in her hand, covered in blood. When she saw us, Lima raised his gun and asked policely, "Who are you? The lackey of Dark Force?" "Don't misunderstand, we are not." I hurriedly squeezed and explained, "We just fucked the man in black." The woman looked at us for a while and saw that we didn't feel sensible, so she put down her gun and gasped, "My name is Cindy, and I am a warrior nearby. The Dark Force is chasing a man named Yaokun, and he heard that he is the son of prophecy. Do you know him?" Jingxi and I looked at each other, and I smiled and said, "Well, that's it, I'm Yaokun." Cindy was stunned for a moment, and then her eyes lit up. "It's really you? That's great. I heard that the son of the prophecy can save the Great Wall of Elsa, so I've been looking for you. The army of dark forces is gathering, and their leader Su Feng ordered that you should be killed before you grow up." Su Feng? I was so angry that I heard the man in black robe mention this name. Is he very awesome? It's not just a bull, he is the head of dark power, and his strength is unpredictable. Cindy said with a heavy temper. I just fled back from the front line. Their pioneer team has approached this area and will be here in 3 days at most. We have to go tight and find a safe place. I felt nervous, and I didn't expect the trouble to come so quickly. But looking at Cindy's calm eyes, I suddenly felt that it seemed good to have a companion. Okay, let's go together. I don't want to sit there anyway. Jingxi pointed out, okay, more people can do more. Yaokun, it will be more difficult to walk next, and be prepared. I clenched my fists, looked at the fragments of the artifact in my hand, then looked at Cindy and Jingxi, and grinned. What are you afraid of? Come on, I will kill another one, come on, I will burn a bunch of them. Su Feng, right? I've already made a fortune with him. Cindy was amused by my words and said, I am ambitious. Then let's fight on your shoulders. The night became darker, and the 3 of us packed up our things, quickly left the valley, and headed towards the next location on the map. Far away, I could hear the magic roar and footsteps, and I knew that a bigger storm was approaching. But I am not afraid in my heart, only my burning ambition. Come on, Su Feng, Dark Force, Yaokun, take the call. Cindy and Jingxi, I left the valley and headed towards the next place marked on the map, the Magic Forest. Jingxi said that there was a second artifact fragment hidden there, and if you got it, you could put my forbidden magic onto the next floor. On the way, Cindy told me a lot about the situation in Elsa. She said that the dark force has become more and more rampant in the past few years, and the villages and cities have been massacred, and the rebels have been defeated and retreated. And that Su Feng was even more a ruthless character who made people feel proud, saying that he could turn the entire forest into ashes with one move. Yaokun, are you really not afraid of that guy? Cindy asked while walking, with a little concern in her language. Scared? What's the use of being afraid? I curled my lips and clenched my fists. If he dares to come, I will fuck him. You can't hide all the time, right? Cindy smiled and patted my shoulder. There is a kind. But be careful, Su Feng is not comparable to that of the black-robed fish. Jing Shi walked in front and heard us chatting, and said without looking back, don't think too much, take a look at the front of you first. The demon forest is not a good place. The guys inside are more fierce than the other, and the demon king is sitting in the town. His strength is no worse than that of a higher-level magician in humanity. Yaokun, your strength is not stable, don't show off. I know, I said, but I was a little dissatisfied. After fighting in the valley, I became more and more confident in my forbidden magic and always felt that I could handle everything. But Jing Shi, the old man, always loves cold water, which makes me feel a little worried. After 2 days of walking, we finally arrived at the edge of the magic forest. In front of me was a black and pressured forest. The trees were as thick as houses, with branches covering the sky and the sun, and even the sun could not be seen. There was a fishy smell in the air, and it was heard from afar and growling, which made people's skin numb. Cindy held her long gun and looked around vigilantly. Be careful, something may be leaked out of this place at any time. I clicked the head, and the black-red power in my body had begun to be restless, as if reminding me of danger. I took a deep breath and tried to press it according to the method taught by Jing Shi to avoid accidentally losing control. The artifact fragments should be in an ancient haven deep in the forest. Jing Shi held the map and said in a low voice, but that place is the Demon King's nest, and the risk is too great. We have to think of a way to avoid its perception. Avoid it? How to avoid it? I was stunned, thinking that the old man's idea was a bit unrealistic. Jing Shi did not answer directly, but took out a small bottle of green medicine from it and sent it to Cindy and me. After drinking this, you can cover your breath at a time. However, the effect is only half a day, and you can move quickly. I took the medicine and heard it. It tasted like a pineapple. I almost vomited it out. Can this thing really drink? Stop talking, drink. Jing Shi glared at me, and I had to pinch my nose and pour it down. Cindy also drank it, and her face was as hard to see, but she didn't say much. After drinking the medicine, the 3 of us walked into the forest carefully. It was more turbulent than I thought, and the feet were covered with rotten leaves and bones, which crunched when I stepped on it. Not long after I left, the shrub next to me suddenly trembled. I felt a little nervous and I thought about raising my hand to prepare to set fire, but Jing Shi immediately pressed me down and said, "Don't be upset, it's a little guy." Sure enough, a little magician with sharp teeth poked out from the bush and glanced at us. Maybe he didn't hear the breath and then shrank back. I relaxed, but my heart was still lying on the strings. Such little things are so scary. What is the Demon King like? The deeper you go, the heavier the air, and the more you growl around you. The effect of the medicine seemed to begin to weaken, and I could feel the restlessness in my body becoming stronger and stronger, as if urging me to move. Jing Shi's face was not very good-looking, and she said in a low voice, "It's coming soon, and the sway is right in front." But I felt a strong breath, and the Demon King might have noticed us. I just notice it, just fuck it, just fuck it. I gritted my teeth and tried to suppress the urge. Don't urge, your control is not enough. Jing Shi warned me, but the voice fell, and the forest in front suddenly swayed violently, and a deafening roar started to shake, shaking the ground. A huge magical beast was pulled out of the tree forest, 3-story building, with black pieces, red eyes like blood, and can uproot the tree with one blow of claws. Damn, is this the Demon King? I sallied, and my heart felt a little nervous. Scatter. Don't resist. Jing, she shouted, and at the same time he swayed his cane, and a curtain of light shook in front of us. But the Demon King slapped it with one claw, and the light curtain shattered directly, and the shock wave shocked the three of us. I fell to the ground, my chest almost vomited blood. Yaokun, cover me. Cindy gritted her teeth and stood up, swung her gun, and rushed towards the Demon King. Her speed was very fast, and the gun tip was holding a cold light, piercing the Demon King's eyes. But the guy had thick skin and flesh, and the gun tip only left a slight mark on its piece. It roared angrily and swept its tail. Cindy was directly thrust, hitting a tree, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Cindy! I felt anxious and couldn't take Jing-Shi's warning. The black-red power in my body exploded instantly. I raised my hand and it was a flame that hit the Demon King hard. The flames made it black, and it roared in pain, but this angered it. It turned towards me, so fast that I couldn't hide. Yaokun, stop the force! Jing-Shi shouted, but I could no longer control it. The force was like a wild horse that was scattered, and it was completely unaware of the silence and was crazily released from my body. I tried to press the pressure, but the more I pressed, the more irritated the flames were irritated, and one of them burned directly towards Cindy. Be careful! I yelled, but it was too late. Cindy just got up and didn't have time to hide. The flames rubbed against her shoulders and burned her flesh. She hummed in pain, half kneeled on the ground, her face turned pale. I'm sorry, My brain was blank, and my heart felt like it was cut by a knife. I wanted to save her, but my strength was still irrelevant and I didn't listen to me at all. The Demon King took advantage of the opportunity to slap in one claw, and I hurriedly hid on my side, but my shoulder was still cut and blood flowed all over the floor. Yaokun, close your eyes and look inside. Jing-Shi's voice suddenly echoed, with an unquestionable sense of majesty. I was stunned, but subconsciously did it. Closed my eyes and I tried to feel the black-red flames in my body as I did when I was in the previous training. It was still very violent, as if it was about to burn everything, but I gritted my teeth and used my mind to press it, telling myself, Yaokun, you can't harm others anymore, control it. But this process was too difficult, and the power backed down my head and felt like my brain was about to explode. I could even hear the roar of the Demon King getting closer and closer, and the claws made my face hurt. But I can't be blinded and can't give up, otherwise Cindy and Jing-Shi will both die. Just when I was almost unable to hold on, Jing-Shi's voice sounded again, let yourself go, don't fight it, guide it. I gritted my teeth and changed my strategy. I no longer strengthened the pressure, but tried to let that force flow through my consciousness, like a water flow into the canal. Slowly, the group of flames began to listen, although they were still irritable, at least they were no longer irritating. I suddenly opened my eyes and found that the Demon King's claws had already come to me, but this time I was not panicked. I raised my hand, and the power inside my body turned into an exquisite black-red fire pillar, directly stalking on its chest. The power of the pillar of fire was more than twice as powerful as before. The Demon King was so burned that he let out a slight cry, the flakes on his chest were blown open, and blood was sprayed wildly. It stumbled back a few steps, but finally couldn't hold it back and fell to the ground, and a big hole was smashed into the ground. It's done! I gasped and felt like my whole body was hollowed out, but my heart was so happy. The first time I really controlled the forbidden magic, this feeling is better than anything else. Yaokun, you're doing it beautifully. Jing-Shi walked over and patted my shoulder, and there was no smile on his face. I hurried over and helped Cindy up, feeling guilty. I'm sorry, I couldn't control it just now, I hurt you. Cindy gritted her teeth and smiled, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay to bear it. It's worth it if you can handle this big guy. I still couldn't help but see that she didn't blame me, so I didn't say much. Jing-Shi walked over, checked the body of the Demon King, and pointed to a stone platform far away. There is nowhere, the fragments should be inside. The three of us walked to the stone platform and found a black artifact fragment, which was similar to the one before, but the runes on it were even more complicated, and there was a cold feeling of pressure when we held it in our hands. She let me absorb it, and I did as I did. The power of the fragments merged into my body with the forbidden magic. This time was smoother than last time. After absorbing it, I clearly felt that the power was more stable, and I could even adjust it casually, no longer as unreasonable as before. Awesome, can I be more powerful now? I snatched my hands excitedly, and a small group of flames burst out, with a much more precise shape than before. Don't be proud. The stronger your strength, the greater the risk of backlash. She swept a basin of cold water, but then his words became more and more excited. However, you did a good job this time and your control has improved. I grinned, and was about to say something, when a deep forest suddenly came a low smile, as if I had crawled out of the ground, which made me feel creepy. The three of us stood up and the policeman stood up. Cindy held the gun tightly, and she also raised her cane with a serious look. Who is there? Come out. I shouted, my body's strength waiting to be developed. The laughter stopped, and then a tall figure walked out of the tree shadow. He was wearing black armor and a half-iron mask on his face. The half-face exposed was as white as a dead person, and his eyes were full of coldness. The breath radiated from his body was even more terrifying than the Demon King, which made me breathless. Yaokun, the son of the prediction? Haha, even with such ability, dare to fight me? His voice was low, with heavy ridicule. Who are you? I gritted my teeth and asked, although I had guessed the answer in my heart. He sneered, took off his mask, revealing his complete face. My name is Su Feng, the master of dark power. I heard that you are a nuisance, and I came to see it myself, and the result, it really disappoints people. Su Feng. Cindy exclaimed softly, and her face became difficult to see in an instant. She also had a tight eyebrows and said to me in a low voice, be careful, this guy is not something you can deal with, don't force me. But when I heard his ridicule, I suddenly came up, disappointed. There is a kind of trial, see who is disappointed. My voice fell, and I raised my hand and saw a black-red pillar of fire, heading towards him. This is the strongest hit I can hit so far, even the Demon King can recreate it. I don't believe he can have no hair. But Su Feng just slapped his hand lightly, and a black air burst out from his palm, swallowing my pillar of fire without even swallowing a piece of candy. That's it? He sneered, and after his figure flashed, I had not reacted yet. He had appeared in front of me and punched me in the chest. I could only feel a huge force coming, and the whole person flew out, and it broke several big trees before I stopped. My chest hurt so much that it was about to crack, and I couldn't breathe. Yaokun! Cindy shouted, wanting to come over to help me, but Su Feng just glanced at her and she was fixed on the spot by an invisible force and could not even move. The weak should be the one who wants to die. Su Feng walked over slowly, his feet sounded like he was knocking on his heart. He looked at me with his head down, his eyes full of contempt. The forbidden magic in your hands is a waste of resources. The fate of Elsa cannot be changed by your garbage. I will destroy everything, including your ridiculous dream of saving the world. I gritted my teeth and wanted to get up, but I didn't have any energy in my body, and the taboo magic in my body was also suppressed, as if I was locked by something. I never felt so powerless, and my heart was filled with anger and reluctance, but I couldn't do anything, so I could only watch him start to hold his hands, and the dark air condensed in his palm, as if I wanted to give me the last blow. Stop! She roared, swaying his cane, and a dazzling light headed towards Su Feng. But Su Feng didn't even hide, and the light disappeared 1 meter in front of him, and he didn't even touch his clothes. Old guy, your era has passed long ago. Su Feng snorted coldly, and with a wave of his hand, she was also shocked and fell to the ground and could not move. Run, Yaokun, run quickly. She couldn't pull out a few words, but how could I run? If I run away, Cindy and she will be dead. But I really didn't care. Su Feng's strength was so powerful that I couldn't even catch him with a single move. At this moment, for the first time, I felt that my power was so small and so worthless. Su Feng looked at me and sneered, why, don't accept it. Unfortunately, the weak are not qualified and dissatisfied. I will give you a chance to kneel down and beg for a gift, or maybe I can let you live for a few more days. Please beg you. I gritted my teeth, grabbed up and stared at him. Even if I die, I won't kneel. His eyes turned cold, as if he was angry by me, and the black air in his hands suddenly burst into pieces and smashed it down at me. I closed my eyes and thought that this was really over, but there was still a fire in my heart. Su Feng, wait, one day, I will make you regret not killing me today. At this moment, a sudden emergency response came from the deep forest, like a large team approaching. Su Feng glanced at the eyebrows, turned his hand and glanced at it, and then snorted coldly, "You are leaving, the shattering of the resistance army. I don't have time to waste this waste with you. Remember, today is just a warning. Next time I meet, I will crush your bones with my hands." After saying that, his figure flashed and disappeared directly into the forest, as if he had never appeared. I sat on the ground, gasping for a long time, and the pain in my chest made my brain feel excited, but my heart was filled with countless emotions: unwillingness, anger, and a desire for strength. Cindy and Jing, she stalked up and ran over to help me. Cindy gritted her teeth and said, "Yaokun, don't force yourself, let's withdraw first." I was a little bit too, although I was unwilling to give up, but I also knew that staying would only lead to death. The three of us supported each other and walked out of the forest. Far away, the shouts of the rebels were getting closer, but I knew that the battle was not over. Su Feng's ridicule was still resounding in my ears. I clenched my fists and secretly swore in my heart, next time, I will never be like this wolf again. After escaping from the demon forest, Cindy and Jing, she were taken by the rebels and brought to a secret camp. The site is built on a cliff, surrounded by natural barriers, and there is also a magical boundary covering outside, which is considered safe. My body was hurt so much by Su Feng's blow, but the fire in my heart was even more intense. The guy's ridicule, and what he said, "The weak are unqualified and dissatisfied," were carved in my brain like a knife. I told myself that I can never be so full of my pocket. I want to become stronger, so strong that I can make Su Feng kneel down and beg for a favor. The head of the rebel army was named Lin Jia, a middle-aged man with a stubble face. He was very powerful and said that he could single-handedly pick high-level magical beasts. When he saw me, the first sentence was, "Yaokun, did you hear that you are the son of prophecy? It doesn't look so good." I was unhappy, but I didn't say much, but I actually saved our lives. Lin Jia quickly arranged for us to rest and gave us a bunch of information, saying that Dark Force recently built an important base in the nearby Blacklight Valley, stocked up a large number of magic crystals and weapons, and prepared to launch a large-scale attack. What's more important is that according to the report, there is a fragment of the third artifact hidden there. If that base can be destroyed, it will not only regenerate the Dark Force, but also allow me to get the fragments and make further efforts. Yaokun, this is an opportunity. Cindy looked at the map, her eyes lit up. "Let's dive in, and fuck him with a big vote," and then she snatched the fragments. Dive in? It's not easy to hear. I browsed and my brain was covered with Su Feng's face that deserved to be beaten. But if I win, I'll have sex. Bold, what do you think? Jing, she sat on the side, her face was not very good looking. After a while, she was silent. She said, "The risk of this is quite large. The terrain of the Black-Purple Valley is complex, the guards are strict, and there are high-level dark magicians sitting in the town. Your strength is not stable, especially Yaokun. Your forbidden magic control is not small, and it is very likely that you will lose control if you are hard. What's wrong with losing control? At worst, I can't help you." I gritted my teeth and came up with anger. "I'm going to clean up that guy's Su Feng, so I don't practice now. How can I fight in the future?" Jing, she sighed and shook her head. "Okay, I won't slap you. But remember, don't let the power lead you, otherwise you can't afford the consequences. I will lend some people from Linjing to help you cover up." Cindy patted my shoulder and grinned. "Don't worry, Yaokun, with me here, we are in our hands, no one is afraid of anyone coming." In the next few days, I practiced forbidden magic day and night. Jingxi created a boundary between me, allowing me to release my strength without worrying about hurting others. I tried to adjust the energy of the two artifact fragments I absorbed before. Sure enough, the power was much more stable than before, but every time I exploded with all my strength, I still had a little out of control, which made the boundary slam and the desire was destroyed. Jingxi always looks at him, but I don't care. I just want to become stronger quickly, so strong that he can beat Su Feng away with one punch. After practicing for about 5 days, my control finally got a quality flying. I can adjust the size and shape of the black-red flame at will, and even compress it into a fireball, which is at least 30% greater than before. Cindy looked at me trying, and her chin was almost dropped. Yaokun, your progress is too fast, right? Can this fireball explode the mountain directly, right? Hey, it's not too bad. I wiped my sweat and grinned. When I get the third piece, I guess it will be even stronger. On the day of its departure, Lin War gave us more than a dozen elite players, responsible for connecting outside the island valley to attract enemy firepower. Cindy and I were responsible for diving into the base, and Jingxi would use magic to support us at the critical moment. After the plan was settled, we took advantage of the night and felt the edge of the Black Mountain Valley. The island valley is in danger, with steep walls on both sides, and there is only a narrow path leading to the base in the middle. Along the way, you can see the dark and powerful flags flying in the wind, and the man in black robes walking back and forth, and the torches shone brightly around. At the entrance of the base is a huge stone door with strange runes engraved on it, emitting cold breath. Yaokun, have you seen it? There is a magical atmosphere in the stone gate, and it will be a police report. Cindy said in a low voice, hiding behind the rock to observe. What should I do? Go over? I asked, staring at the man in black robe entering and leaving the base, and my heart had already started to check out how I had burned this broken place. It can't be over, but it can be broken. Jingxi interrupted in a low voice and took out a stone with runes engraved from it. This is a broken stone, which can interfere with magical aquarium in a short time, but it only takes 3 minutes and moves quickly. 3 minutes? It's over. I clicked and looked at Cindy, and both of them were ready. Jingxi recited a few spells, and the broken stone emitted a glimmer of light, and the runes on the stone gate suddenly dimmed. We seized the opportunity, quickly rushed over, and stuck the wall to dive into the base. It was bigger than I thought, like a dungeon, with all the passages connected to each other, and there were weapon databases and magic crystal piles on both sides, and there were also many black-robed men patrolling the rules. Yaokun, the fragments should be in the deepest sacrificial fortress. Cindy said in a short voice, holding the long gun, let's move separately, I'll lead the guard, you can find a chance to go in. Okay, be careful. I clicked my head and took advantage of a patrol team to walk far away, and quickly slipped into a side. The light in the passage was dim and the air was filled with the fishy smell of magic crystals. I held my breath, avoided several waves of patrols, and finally touched the area where the sacrificial fortification was located. The sacrificial house is a huge underground cave with a black stone platform in the center, with fragments of the third artifact scattering cold waves. There are several high-level black-robed magicians guarding the siege around them, and their bodies are covered with black air, which is hard to mess with at first glance. I hid in the corner, thinking about how to deal with this helper. Just as I was thinking, there was a sudden explosion outside, followed by Cindy's shout, "Come on, Messi, Andy play with you." I felt happy in my heart and knew that she was starting to attract enemies. Sure enough, the few high-level magicians looked at each other, and 2 of them turned around and rushed outside, leaving only one left behind. You're the only one? Okay. I sneered and approached quietly while he turned his back to me. The forbidden magic in my body was about to be developed, and I lowered my strength and turned into a small group of exquisite fireballs, smashing it into his back. At the moment the fireball exploded, he didn't even react and was directly burned to ashes, and his voice was not released. I quickly rushed to the stone platform and grabbed the fragment of the artifact. The moment I held it in my hand, a powerful cold energy penetrated into my body and merged with the 2 pieces of the previous pieces. the forbidden magic suddenly exploded like an ignited explosive. I felt my whole body full of strength. With a blow, a black-red flame directly blows the stone platform into powder, and even the top of the cave was burned into a big hole. It's great! This is my strength. I grinned, but I didn't have time to feel it because there was already a group outside, and explosions and shouts came one after another. I rushed out, and on the way, I burned several weapons tanks, and the fire spread rapidly, turning the entire base upside down. When he reached the entrance, Cindy was having sex with a bunch of black-robed men, and she had a little color on her body, but the gun was still soaring, poking one enemy after another. When she saw me coming out, her eyes lit up. Yaokun, is it done? It's done! Let's go, burn this broken place! I shouted, and raised my hand and saw a torrent of flames, swallowing the man in black robe near the entrance. The fire quickly expanded with the explosion of the magic crystal, and the entire base turned into a sea of fire, and the enemy's cry was endless. Cindy laughed and shook her gun, happy. Let's withdraw. We covered each other and pulled out of the base. The people brought by the forest war outside were already engaged with the dark forces of aid, and the battle was as quarrel as a porridge. When Jingxi saw us, Lima opened a magic channel, allowing us to retreat quickly. When we retreated to a safe distance, we looked back and saw that the black-purple valley had been swallowed by fire, storming the sky, and the base of dark forces finally turned into ruins. Fuck beautifully. Lin Jia patted my shoulder, full of joy. This battle is relieved, and the dark forces not to worry about getting another shot in a short time. Cindy also grinned and wiped the blood from her face. Yaokun, that fire just now, don't explode. I was gasping for breath and felt so happy. This battle not only destroyed the enemy base, but also destroyed the fragments of the artifact, and the force was violent and the price was so simple. But before I could be more proud, a familiar sneer suddenly came from afar, as if I had crawled out of the ground, instantly causing my hair to rise up all over my body. It's Su Feng. Cindy's face changed and she held her long gun. I turned around and saw that the guy walked out of the smoke, his black armor covered in dust, but his aura was still very impressive. His eyes were cold, and he swept over us, and finally locked on me. Yaokun, I didn't expect you to be able to make such a big silence. It seems that the last time I showed mercy was a mistake. Show mercy? You're so cool. I gritted my teeth and the air came up. I didn't prepare well last time, so I'll come back this time. Jingxi wanted to swear to me and said in a low voice, Yaokun, don't urge me, you are not his opponent. But how could I care so much? New hatred is overwhelming, I just want to beat this guy up. Su Feng sneered, his figure flashed, and he rushed towards me directly, as fast as a ghost. I thrust all my strength, absorbed the forbidden magic after the third fragment and exploded violently, and the black-red flame turned into a huge firewall and smashed it hard at him. The power of this blow was more than twice as powerful as before, and the air was distorted, and the fire illuminated half of the valley. But Su Feng just raised his hand and slapped it, and a heavy black air burst out, tearing off my firewall, as if it was cut into paper. His fist hit me behind me, and I hid my feet tightly, but I was still rubbed by the fist, and my shoulders seemed to be hit by a skeleton, which made me grit my teeth and cut them. With this progress, dare to challenge me? He laughed, and his palm flipped, and the black air turned into a giant sword and slashed at me. My heart was tight and I knew it would be impossible to handle it. I quickly suppressed my strength and turned into a small fireball, hitting him accurately in the chest. This is a new trick just developed, with a concentrated power and speed that he didn't have time to completely defend himself. Bang! The fireball exploded, and a crack was blown out of the black armor on Su Feng's chest. He snorted, stumbled for a moment, and finally a little surprised on his face. It's a bit meaningful. I gasped heavily. Although my whole body felt as if it was falling apart, I felt so happy when I saw his reaction. I finally let this guy eat. But I know that this injury is nothing to him. He quickly calmed down and his eyes became colder. Little miscellaneous, dare to hurt me? You're dead today. He roared angrily, and the black air stormed, like countless poisonous snakes snatching at me. I gritted my teeth and resisted, and the flames burst out, colliding with the black air. The explosion of the impact blew up all the stones around me, and Lian Xinyi and Lin Jing were both shocked to retreat a few steps. But I know that I won't be able to hold it for long, and the power gap is still too big. Every battle will make my body's internal blood swell, as if it will explode at any time. Yaokun, retreat! Jing Shi shouted, swaying his cane, and a curtain of light hit me, barely holding Su Feng's attack. But the light curtain was quickly torn apart, and Su Feng approached with a sneer, "You guy, you can't protect him." Seeing that he was about to take action again, my brain felt hot, and I regurgitated all the power, including the fragmented energy I had just absorbed, and compressed it into an unprecedented black-red fire pillar. This blow almost emptied my whole body's strength, and my mind began to blur, but the power of the pillar of fire was so terrifying that the space seemed to be about to tear apart, and it struck Su Feng hard. Win! The explosion of fire disappeared without him, and the shock wave overturned us all. I fell to the ground, and my eyes were dark, but when I saw Su Feng stumble out of the fire, the black armor on my chest shattered, and even a blood swelled from the corner of my mouth. He looked down at his wound, his face was blue, and there was a bit of jealousy in his eyes. "Yaokun, you grew faster than I thought." He gritted his teeth and his voice was low, "But that doesn't mean you can challenge me. I'll let you go today, but remember, next time I meet you, I will make you live and die." After saying that, he turned around and disappeared into the smoke, as if he had never appeared. I was on the ground, panting heavily. Although my whole body was so painful that I couldn't move, a fire was ignited in my heart. I recreated Su Feng. This guy finally knew that I was not easy to mess with. "Yaokun, you are so hard." Xinyi ran over to help me, worried, and admired her face. Jing Shi also walked over, her face was complicated and she slammed, "You guy, your life is so strong. But that just now, it has exceeded your limit, and the backlash of forbidden magic will come soon." "What's wrong with the backlash?" "It's worth it." I grinned, but before I finished speaking, I suddenly felt a pain in my body, as if I was pierced by countless needles into my bones. I was so painful that I sweated coldly, and I almost passed. "Let's go back to the camp first." Jing Shi stopped talking, helping me to suppress the backlash, and quickly retreated with us. After returning to the campground, I was placed in the tent. The pain of backlash continued for several hours, making my mind blurry and I couldn't even say it. Jing Shi has been guarding me and using magic to relieve my pain, but her face became more and more serious. When I finally came, it was the next morning. I sat up reluctantly and found that Jing Shi was still in the tent, looking at me with a complicated look. "Xinyi is not here, so I guess she is going to patrol." "Old man, what's wrong? He looks like he's going to cry." I tried to joke, but the sound was as sandy as a broken box. Jing Shi did not laugh, but instead sighed and said in a low voice, "Yaokun, there is something I must tell you. Regarding the forbidden magic, it is not the hope of saving the world, but the source of the world's destruction." "What?" I was confused and suspected that I had heard something wrong. "Tell me clearly, what is the source of the destruction?" He was silent for a while before he opened his mouth. "In the ancient prophecy, the forbidden magic is the ultimate power created by the Lord of Darkness to destroy the Great Wall of Elsa. It is called a forbidden because every use will collapse the balance of the world. The more you use it, the faster the world will collapse. And you, as the son of prophecy, are bound to bear this curse to use it to save the world, and become the ignition of the destruction." I felt agitation in my heart. My brain became a group. "Then why didn't you say it before? Have you let me practice this thing? I thought you could control it and change the pronunciation." Jing Shi lowered his head, with a helpless voice in his voice. "But now it seems that the forbidden magic is invading you. Every time he loses control, it will not only be your body, but also your will. If you continue, you may become another Su Feng, even more terrifying than him." I stood there in a daze, and my heart seemed to be blocked by a big stone. These days, I have always thought that forbidden magic is my weapon of revenge and my strong hope, but now my old man tells me that this thing may destroy everything and even turn me into a monster? Then what should I do? Give up? I gritted my teeth, full of anger in my voice. I finally got to this point, but Su Feng was not doing it yet, and the dark force was still making trouble. Do you want me to give up? I didn't say I'll let you give up. Jing, she shook her head, her eyes calmed down. There is a proposition that there is another half if you can find all the artifact fragments and form a complete artifact, or maybe it can purify taboo magic and break the curse. But this path is extremely dangerous, with a low success rate, and you may have to give everything, including life. I was silent, looking at my palm. The black-red power in my body was still flowing slowly, as if mocking my innocence. I remembered the eyes of the villagers calling me a waste, the ridicule of Su Feng, the smile of Sinian fighting on her shoulders, and the countless people on this vast land who were slaughtered by the darkness. Can I give up? Cannot. Bold, no matter what, I don't regret it. I raised my head, my eyes fixed. The forbidden magic is a curse or a sluggish destruction. I have to use it to uproot the power of darkness. If I really have to give my life, then come. But before I die, I will make Su Feng regret provoking the Yaokun. Jing, she looked at me with a messy look, and finally said, okay, since you have chosen this path, I will accompany you to the end. But remember, control yourself and don't let the power devour you. I grinned, although my heart was heavy, but my ambition was not strong. Outside, Sini's steps sounded. She lifted her pen and said with a smile, Yaokun, are you awake? The rebel army received the news that the dark force was stunned by our blow, and she dared not move again in a short time. We have to take the opportunity to find the next fragmented place. I lit my head and stood up. Although my body still hurt, there was a fire in my heart. The road is still long, Su Feng, the power of darkness, and the prophecy of death. I will not let go of any of them. I walked out of the tent, and the sun made my eyes a little unblocked, but my heart was clearer than ever. I know what I am carrying, the curse of forbidden magic, the collapse of the world, and it may even turn into another Su Feng. I am not afraid of these. All I know is that I, Yaokun, cannot let the dark force ruin this large area again. Since you have chosen this path, then do it to the end. Sini saw me coming out. Lima came up and smiled on her face. Yaokun, your temperament is pretty good. Why? Is it a good thing to backlash? It's okay, I can handle it. I grinned and patted my chest. I just heard you say, there is another piece of news? Yes. She pointed at the head and took out an old sheepskin paper with a mark on it. The spies who resisted the army just sent it, saying that the last fragment of the artifact was hidden in the frozen temple in the north. It was extremely cold and there was also an ancient guardian demon, but as long as you get this fragment, the complete artifact could be put together. Maybe it could really cleanse your forbidden magic like the old man said. I turned to look at Jingxi, and he sat on one side, his face still so heavy. When I heard Sini's words, I was calm. The frozen temple is indeed the last hiding place of the artifacts, but not only the environment is bad, but also the heavy army guarding it with dark forces. They also know the importance of fragments and will never make us easy to succeed. Then let's get it hard. I clenched my fist, and the black-red power in my body was slightly restless, as if responding to my determination. We have already taken 3 pieces, not that last piece. Isn't the dark force trying to do big moves? Let's start first. Jingxi looked at me with a confused look, but she didn't object anymore, but just said in a low voice, okay, but this action must be done with all your strength. If you can't get the fragments, everything will be useless. In the next few days, the resistance army made every effort to prepare. Lin War gathered all the power that could be used, and even contacted the forces of other Guangming arcades to form a large-scale army. Looking at the warriors who come from the camp, and the magicians and slayers who come from all over the country, I feel a different feeling for the first time in my heart. I am no longer the waste that was spitted by the village, I am their hope and the son of prophecy. On the eve of his departure, Lin Jie found me and gave me a glass of strong wine. He said in a rare manner, Yaokun, this battle may be the last fight. The dark force has gathered the main force, saying that Su Feng was sitting in the northern border of the town, and even woke up the Lord of Darkness in the story. If we fail, the Great Wall of Elsa will be really unsuccessful. I took the wine and poured it into one gulp. My throat was so hot that my throat was getting hot, but my heart became even more ignited. Don't worry, the word failure is not in my dictionary. It's good that Su Feng, the Lord of Darkness, is also angry. Come and I'll do the other one. Lin Jie laughed and patted me on the shoulder. There is something. Then I'll do it with you. The next day, the joint troops set out in a vast and stern manner and entered the army towards the north. The journey is long and the weather is getting colder and colder. When it reaches the northern border, the snow is already heavy enough to make people stiff. I wrapped my old wind on my body, and the forbidden magic inside my body moved slightly, burning a little heat, and barely resisting the ghost weather. Cindy walked beside me, her teeth stuttering, but she still smiled hard. Yaokun, this place is really not something that people can do. Why didn't you say it earlier? Hey, it's too late to regret it now. I talked, then turned to look at Jingxi. Old, how far is the temple? It's almost done. If you pass the snow mountain in front, you can see the entrance. Jingxi pointed to the white mountain far away, with a low voice, but I can feel that the dark force is very close. Everyone is ready to fight. Sure enough, the voice fell, and a low roar suddenly came from the snow. Then, dozens of ice-field demon wolves emerged from the wind and snow, with white hair on their bodies, red eyes on their eyes, and sharp claws that could tear the steel wire. The army was in a row, with some shocked and some pulled out swords, but these demon wolves were too fast and knocked down several warriors in the blink of an eye. Don't panic, follow me. I yelled, and the forbidden magic in my body exploded instantly. The black-red flame turned into a firewall, directly burning the several demon wolf in front to ashes. The heat of the flames was particularly eye-catching in the snow, and the remaining demon wolf was scared to retreat, but soon roared and rushed up. Yaokun, left. Xine swung her gun and pierced the neck of a demon wolf, reminding me at the same time. I turned around and saw several demon wolves being wrapped around the side. I sneered and raised my hand to make a group of compressed fireballs. With a bang, a big pit was blown out of the snow, and all the demon wolves were left. When the army saw me take action, the soldiers were greatly boosted. Lin Jie also shouted to take the man to fight back. Magic and swords flew wildly, and quickly cleaned up the demon wolf pack. I gasped, wiped the snow water from my face, and a fire burned in my heart. That's just now, the real tough battle is still at the forefront. After crossing the snow-capped mountains, we finally saw the ice temple. It was a huge ice-blue building, like a carved from a glacier, radiating coldness throughout the body, surrounded by a circle of magical boundaries. Outside the boundary, the dark forces of troops have gathered together, and the dense number of black-robed men and demons is several times better than that of us, and the pressure is so stressful that people can't breathe. Yaokun, it seems that they have been waiting for us for a long time. Cindy gritted her teeth, held her long gun, her eyes full of struggle. Then come. I sneered, turned to the army, and shouted loudly, brothers, the darkness has tried to destroy our home and kill our teachers. Today we will fight with them to the end. Who dares to take a step back, I will be the first to burn him. Fight! Fight with Yaokun! The army roared and the soldiers were instantly ignited. I felt a little excited, and I didn't expect that I would have one day to fight with so many people. I know that this is not only for myself, but also for all the suffering people, for this large area. The battle exploded in an instant, and the black-robed magician with dark force took the lead. Uncountable arrows transformed from black air shot towards us. The magician of the army, Lima, rushed into the defense zone, but someone was still shot through and fell down with a cry. I gritted my teeth and rushed in front. The forbidden magic turned into a huge pillar of fire, which directly opened the enemy, burning a large area of black-robed men to death, and the snow was burned into scorched earth. Yaokun, you're so fucked beautifully. Lin Jie shouted, holding the swordsman into the gap and fighting with the enemy. I didn't stop, the flames sprayed out wildly, and each hit was extremely accurate. After absorbing 3 pieces of fragments, my control was almost perfect, and my power was even more powerful. The dark force fell one after another. One of the high-level magicians tried to lock me with black air, but I smashed the protection with one punch. Then a fireball exploded directly through his chest, and even his screams were not even available. "Who dares to come?" I yelled, and Feng Shui stopped for a moment. The dark and powerful soldiers were heartbroken by me and retreated. The soldiers of the army burst into flames and shouted my name, as if they regarded me as an unfailing war god. I feel so happy in my heart. This is strength, and this is the feeling I want. But just as we were so anxious, a low roar suddenly came from the boundary, like a deep sound, which made people's chests swell. Then, a huge figure walked out of the temple, wrapped in black air, and his eyes were like two deep penises, emitting a breath of destruction. Su Feng stood beside it, sneering on his face. "Yaokun, see the Lord of Darkness. Your doomsday has arrived." Lord of Darkness? I felt a tightening in my heart and felt an unprecedented pressure. This guy's breath is stronger than Su Feng, as if he can swallow the entire world. The troops were also stunned, and some even began to tremble, and the military atmosphere instantly fell to the bottom. "Don't be afraid. With me here, no one can move you." I gritted my teeth and shouted, and my body's strength was swinging wildly, trying to keep the situation stable. Jing Shi walked to me at this time and said in a low voice, "Yaokun, the Lord of Darkness is not something you can deal with now. Take the fragments first and break the boundary and be tight." I clicked the head and knew that fighting hard was not the way, so I took Xine and Jing Shi and took advantage of the trouble to rush towards the boundary. The dark and powerful soldier tried to intercept the picture, but I opened the way with flames, and killed a bloody path. Jing Shi used magic to interfere in the boundary, and we attacked with all our might, and finally entered the temple at the moment when the boundary ruptured. The interior of the temple was cold and bone-black, and the last fragment of the artifact was placed on the sacrificial fortress in the center, radiating a dark blue light. I rushed over and grabbed it with one hand. The energy of the fragment instantly merged into the body and merged with the first 3 blocks. The forbidden magic seemed to be ignited in full force, and its power surged to a terrifying level. With one blow, the flame turned into a fire dragon, and directly burned the ice wall of the temple, and even the snow outside was evaporated. "It's done!" I yelled, feeling my whole body full of unbridled power. At this moment, I finally reached the peak. Every piece of energy of the forbidden magic is under my control, as if it can burn all enemies. I turned around and looked at Cindy and Jing Shi, and grinned. "Go back and get over that helps you." But before we could get out, a terrifying wave suddenly came from outside the temple. The Lord of Darkness roared and released the dark air, instantly swallowing the front of the army. Innumerable warriors were corrupted into bones, and their voices were endless. Lin Jing tried to retaliate, but was also rekindled by black air and vomited blood and fell to the ground. Su Feng walked forward with a sneer, raised his hand and slapped it, and people fell down again. "Yaokun, save us." Someone shouted my name, and the sound was filled with hope. My heart tightened and I rushed out, and the flame turned into a huge firewall to try to suppress the black air. But the power of the Lord of Darkness was too strong. The firewall was torn open after only a few seconds, and the dark air rushed towards me. "Be careful." Jing Shi suddenly rushed to me, slammed his cane, and a dazzling light curtain slammed the black air, but the light curtain quickly shattered. He was hit by the black air, and he flew out and fell heavily to the ground, staining the snow with blood. "Old man!" I shouted and rushed over to help him, but his breath was weak, the corners of his mouth were covered with blood, and his eyes were still so firm. He grabbed my hand and said, "Yaokun. Hear well, the purification of forbidden magic. The key is your will. Use magical tools to guide power. Don't let it control you. Otherwise, everything is over. Old, don't say anything, I'll take you away." I gritted my teeth, my eyes were hot, but he snatched his head and smiled reluctantly. "I can't leave anymore. Remember, you are the son of the prophecy. You hope, go, fuck them, and avenge me." As the voice fell, his hands drooped weakly and his eyes closed. I stood there in a daze, my heart seemed to be hollowed out, and I couldn't breathe in pain. I never thought that Jingxi would die for me. He has been with me, teaching me, and protecting me from the beginning, but I couldn't protect him. Yaokun, I feel sad, we still have to fight. Cindy ran over, her eyes were red, but her voice was firm. I bit my teeth tightly, wiped my eyes, stood up, and looked at Su Feng and the Lord of Darkness. My brain was filled with anger. You will kill me. I yelled, and the forbidden magic in my body exploded. The power of the complete artifact was adjusted to the limit by me. The black-red flame turned into a 100-meter-long fire dragon, roaring towards the dark force. Wherever Holong passed, the enemy instantly turned into ashes, and most of the black air was dispersed. Su Feng's face finally changed, and he roared and slammed the black air to retaliate, but my strength was so strong that he could not completely resist. Holong forced his defense, torn open his defense and burned his shoulders. Yaokun, you are looking for death. He gritted his teeth and joined forces with the Lord of Darkness. The black air stormed into a huge spear of darkness and stabbed me. I couldn't hide, the flames condensed into a fire, and they collided with the spear of darkness. The explosion of the impact shocked the entire snow mountain trembled. I was shocked to retreat a few times, with blood sucking from the corners of my mouth, but my eyes didn't shrink at all. I'll fight with you today. I roared, and the power exploded again, and the fire slashed out continuously. Each shot was filled with Jing Shi's will and the anger of the army. The darkness of the Lord of Darkness was burned by me, and Su Feng was forced to retreat, and finally a panic appeared on his face. But I know, this is not enough. The power of the Lord of Darkness is unpredictable. Every attack I overdraw myself, and the pain of backlash began to come, and my body seemed to be cut by countless swords, and my mind began to blur. Cindy rushed over and stabbed Su Feng with a long gun, trying to help me divide the pressure, but she was quickly blown away by black air and vomited blood and fell to the ground. Yaokun, don't force yourself, let's retreat. She shouted in a difficult manner, but I slammed the head and said, I can't retreat. If you don't kill them today, we will all die. I bit my teeth tightly, held the artifact, and tried to use my will to guide the forbidden magic as Jingxi said. I closed my eyes, and my mind sank into my body, feeling the black-red power. It was still so violent, but this time I didn't control it, but tried to talk to it and told it, I want to save this vast land, you have to hear me. Slowly, the power began to smooth out, and the black-red flame became more pure, even with a golden light, as if it was being purified. I suddenly slid my eyes and raised my hand to snatch it. The flame turned into a golden column of light, directly slid on the Lord of Darkness. It roared with a slight roar, and most of the black air on its body was scattered, and its huge body began to collapse. Yaokun, you. Su Feng's eyes widened, as if he didn't expect me to do this. He roared, and swept over with the remaining darkness, and tried to hit me with a fatal blow. But I was no longer afraid. The power was completely mine at this moment. I flashed my body, avoiding his attack, and then punched him in the chest. The golden flames burst out, and he flew 10 meters directly into the snow, unable to move. Su Feng, I won't kill you today, but you have to remember that in the next battle, I will kill you. I gasped, my voice full of killing. He gritted his teeth and stared at me, but he didn't move anymore. The broken body of the Lord of Darkness let out a low growl, and then turned into black air, and disappeared into the snow with him. I sat on the ground, my whole body seemed to be hollowed out, and the backlash pain made me almost pass. The army rushed over and supported me. Some shouted my name and some cried to thank me. I looked at Jingxi's body and my heart still felt so painful, but I knew that this battle was not over yet. The Lord of Darkness was not dead, Su Feng was still alive, and the final battle was right in front of him. Yaokun, we win. Cindy crawled over, covered in blood, but grinned. I slighted my head, stood up reluctantly, and looked at the broken battle, and my voice was low. I won this scene, but it's not over yet. Brothers, prepare for it. In the next battle, we will finally get over the dark force. Everyone was in harmony with each other, and the sound was shocking. I held the tight artifact and looked at the snow far away. Jingxi's words were still resounding in my ears. I know that the real exam has just begun, but I, Yaokun, will never retreat. I stood on the ice field in the north, and the snow was scraping on my face like a knife, but I felt nothing at all. In front of me was the collapsed skeleton of the frozen temple. The dark and powerful soldiers were wiped out by the army, but the suppressed breath in the air became heavier and heavier, as if it was about to crush the entire world. I know that the Lord of Darkness is not dead, it just retreats temporarily, curling the final madness. And Su Feng, the guy who made me hate him, would never be willing to let go. Yaokun, the rebel army just received the news that the Lord of Darkness is gathering strength in the deep darkness and preparing for the last strike. Cindy walked over with an unsatisfied scar on her face, but her eyes must be like a steel wire. They said that the magical realm at the core of the world has begun to collapse. If it is not stopped, the land of Elsa's will turn into a ruin within 3 days. 3 days? I clenched my teeth, and my heart seemed to be under pressure. Jingxi's death is still in sight, and his last words have been replying in his brain using the magical artifact to purify the forbidden magic and break the curse. But can I really do it? Every time this force is used, the backlash becomes heavier, and I can even feel that it is swallowing my will a little bit. Don't think too much, Yaokun. Cindy patted my shoulder and smiled hard. You are the son of prophecy. Even Su Feng was beaten up by you to find teeth. This time, it will definitely work. I clicked the head, but I didn't say anything, but I knew in my heart that this battle might be the last fight. Lin Jia walked over with his surviving army, his voice low. Yaokun, we all work with you. The Lord of Darkness must die, otherwise none of us will survive. Okay, then fight. I clenched my fists and looked at the warriors who were still fighting with high ambitions in front of me, and a fire ignited in my heart. Brothers, prepare well, we will never stop in this battle. The troops gathered quickly, and although there were half the number of people than before, everyone's eyes were determined. We brought only the magic crystals and weapons and went deep into the darkness. That is the most dangerous place in Elsa, which is said to be the entrance to the core of the world, and the source of the power of the Lord of Darkness is in it. The journey was difficult, with storms and demons constantly coming, but no one retreated. Everyone understood that this was the last chance. 2 days later, we finally arrived at the entrance of Heijing. It was a huge deep pit, as if it was torn apart by something, and the surrounding area was covered with black air, and even the light was swallowed. There could be a huge group of black shadows below the deep pit, scattering a breath of destruction, making people's skin numb. My heart was tightened and I knew that the Lord of Darkness was waiting for me there. Yaokun, how do we fight? Lin Jia asked in a low voice, his face solemn. It's useless to do hard, it's too powerful. I browsed and my brain moved quickly. I have to destroy its source of power first and let it reveal its broken hole. Cindy and I go down, you cover it up and attract fire. No, it's too dangerous. Xi and Yilima responded and stared at me. What if you go down alone? What if you lose control? I'll go with you. Don't fight, listen to me. I slammed my head, my language was unquestionable. You can help me better on it. I move faster and I won't hurt anyone if I backfire. Cindy wanted to say something, but when she looked at my eyes, she finally gritted her teeth and said, okay, but remember, you must come back. No one can bear it. I grinned and said nothing more, holding the complete artifact tightly and jumping into the black. The black air instantly surrounded me, like countless hand-tested pictures tearing my body, but the energy of the artifact protected me and made me reluctantly hold it. I went down, feeling colder and colder, as if I had fallen into the bottomless deep penis. My ears were full of low voices, as if the Lord of Darkness was mocking me. Finally, I fell to the bottom. In front of me was a huge underground space, and in the center was a boiling black vortex. The figure of the Lord of Darkness seemed to be hidden in it, and its body shape was several times larger than before. My breath was so strong that I could hardly breathe. It turned slowly, and its two deep and purplish eyes locked me, and she growled, "Yaokun, do you really dare to come and die? Taboo magic is my creation. Do you think you can use it to fight me? Send death? I'm here to kill you." I sneered, and the forbidden magic in my body was about to be released. The black-red flame was beating in the palm of my palm, carrying a golden light, which was the power of the purified artifact. I know that this might be the last time I use it, and the backlash will kill me, but I don't have any choice. The Lord of Darkness roared, and the black air turned into countless sharp blades and stabbed towards me, so fast that I could hardly see clearly. I gritted my teeth, and the flame turned into a firewall and slapped in front of me, but the black air was too strong, and the firewall was torn open in an instant. I was shaken and hit the stone wall, and bleeding from the corners of my mouth. "That's all," it mocked. The darkness stormed, as if the entire space was about to be swallowed. I gritted my teeth and got up, regulating the entire power of the artifact, and tried to use my will to guide the forbidden magic according to the method of Jing Shi. The black-red flame began to transform, carrying more golden light, as if it was really being purified. I yelled, and the flame turned into a golden-red fire dragon, crashing into the Lord of Darkness. Room! The explosion of the impact wave made the entire black shaking. The Lord of Darkness was roaring and roaring. The black air on his body was torn apart, revealing a core-like black crystal, emitting terrifying waves. I felt aroused in my heart and knew that it was its source of power. Go to die. I gritted my teeth and rushed over, and the flames condensed into a fire snail, piercing the crystal. But the Lord of Darkness roared, and the black air turned into a wall and slapped in front of me. At the same time, countless black hands burst out from the ground, sucking my legs, making me unable to move. "Yaokun, you can't win. The forbidden magic will eventually destroy you." The voice of the Lord of Darkness replied in my brain, as if to devour my will. I bit my teeth tightly, and I flashed Jing Shi's words, Sin's smile, and the roar of the army in my brain. I told myself, "Yaokun, you can't fall down, you can't crash out of my brain." I yelled, my will squeezing backlash. The golden red flame exploded again, scattering my black hands. My body flashed, and the fire slammed into the black crystal. The crystals emitted a sharp shattering sound, and the Lord of Darkness let out a silence, and his body began to disintegrate, and the black air quickly dissipated as if it was sucked away. But this wasn't over yet, and I felt a stronger wave coming from above. When I looked up, I saw Su Feng appearing on the edge of the black hair. His face was blue and his eyes were full of murder. He roared angrily, "Yaokun, you dare to hurt me? I will kill you with mercy today. Come on, I've been waiting for you for a long time." I gritted my teeth. Although my whole body was so painful that it was as if it was falling apart, I didn't feel bad about it. Su Feng's figure flashed and rushed into the black and white, and the black air turned into a giant sword and slashed at me. I reluctantly lifted the fire grid and slammed it. The two forces collided. The explosion of the impact wave shook me back several steps, and my internal blood swelled up, almost vomiting blood. "Yaokun, then." At this moment, Sin's voice came from above. I turned around and saw that she and Lin Jing arrived with their army and threw down a bundle of magic crystals. At the same time, they began to attack the dark force surrounding the black purse and tried to fight for time for me. Sin shouted, "We will hold back the aid troops, you will be dedicated to killing Su Feng." I clicked the head, grabbed the magic crystal, absorbed the energy in it, and kept calm and backfired. Su Feng sneered, "A bunch of kids, do you want to slap me?" He slapped his hand and the black air rolled upwards. The army was instantly suppressed. Sin was shocked and vomited blood and fell to the ground. "Sin!" I felt anxious and my anger became even stronger. I turned my head and stared at Su Feng. "Your opponent is me, come on." He snorted coldly, the black air stormed violently, and the giant slashed down continuously, and each hit made me feel like my bones were about to break. I held my back and used the golden red fire to fight back. The two of them beat the sky and the earth torn apart, the black stone wall was blown to pieces, and the ground was shaking. I know that I couldn't hold it for long, and the backlash became stronger and stronger, and the visuals began to blur, but I couldn't fall down, absolutely. Yaokun, you are just a waste, why are you fighting with me? Su Feng roared angrily, and the black air turned into a huge black dragon and rushed towards me. I gritted my teeth and adjusted the last energy of the artifact, and the flame also turned into a golden red fire dragon, colliding with the black dragon. The explosion of fire illuminated the entire black tin, and I was shocked and fell to the ground, and I was exhausted from standing up. But I saw that Su Feng was not easy to go. A huge wound was burned in his chest, and the blood was sprayed wildly, and he stumbled backwards, his face as white as paper. He gritted his teeth and stared at me, and his voice said, Yaokun, you really have but do you think this is over? Of course it's not over. I gasped, and got up hard, holding the artifact tightly, sinking into my body, trying to purify the forbidden magic for the last time. That power was so violent that it was about to explode, but I used all my will to guide it and told it, I want to save this vast land, you must hear me. Slowly, the flames completely turned into gold, like the light of the sun, warm and refreshing. I suddenly slid my eyes, looked at Su Feng, and grinned, with this blow, I'll send you on the way. I raised my hand and the golden light beam exploded, as if it could tear the space and directly hit Su Feng. He didn't have time to defend himself, and he screamed, his body was swallowed by the light column, and there was no waste left. At the same time, the dark aura that the Lord of Darkness was destroyed by the golden light, and the core boundary of the deep darkness began to be repaired, and the wave of the collapse of the world finally stopped. But this blow also emptied me. I felt that the forbidden magic in my body seemed to have been drained, and the light of the artifact dimmed. I sat on the ground, my mind was blurred, and I heard the shouts of Cinny and the army. They rushed down to support me, some cried and called my name, and some knelt down to thank me. Yaokun, you did it, you really did it. Cinny hugged me, her voice choked, and her face was filled with water. I reluctantly smiled and said, hey, don't cry, aren't I still alive? But I know that my forbidden magic has disappeared, and my body is empty, as if something important has been lost. Jing, she said that the price of purifying taboo magic may be everything. I gave my strength, and I almost gave my life, but I don't regret it at all. Because I saw that the sky above the darkness began to clear up, the snow stopped, and the sun shone down, as if the world had regained its new life. The army brought me back to the ground, and the news spread quickly, and everyone in Elsa knew the outcome of the battle. The Lord of Darkness was dead, Su Feng was dead, the dark power was destroyed, and the world was no longer collapsed. From the northern border to the southern border, from the village to the city, people began to rebuild their homes, and the flags of Guangmingyuan were once again flew. A few months later, I stood in front of the old site of Huitu village, looking at the rebuilt village, and felt mixed feelings. This was my home and the place where I was spitted. But now, the villagers looked at me with admiration. The village chief even came to apologize and said that he blamed me for being wrong that year. The big bull came, lowered his head and stammered and said sorry. I didn't say much, I just patted him on the shoulder and smiled. The grudges of the past have long since dispersed. Yaokun, I heard that the Guangming camp is going to build a statue for you in the capital, calling you the legendary hero of Elsa. Cinny walked over and said with a smile, the scars on her face had faded away, and her temperament was much better than before. Statue? Is it a little annoying? I was a little embarrassed, but I still felt very happy. It is not easy to go from a village boy called waste to a hero admired by thousands of people. What are you so sorry for? You saved everyone, so it's natural. Cinny gave me a blank look, and then she became excited. How about you? Now there is no taboo magic. I lowered my head and looked at my palms. My body was empty, and there was no magical wave. I smiled and said with a relaxed temperament, there is nothing wrong, the strength is gone, but the people are still there. Moreover, now that the mainland is peaceful, I don't have to kill it anymore. It's great to have a peaceful life. Cinny looked a little bit, and there was a little gentleness in her eyes. What about the future? What are the plans? I thought about it, looked at the rebuilt villages and fields far away, and said, I plan to stay here and help everyone build their homes. Also, I heard that there is still darkness in some places. I want to clean them up and ensure that there is no more threats. What about you? Are you with me? She was stunned for a moment, then laughed and patted my shoulder. Of course. We are friends. How can you just sneak a secret? Besides, someone has to watch you. Don't cause any trouble. I was amused by her and felt warm in my heart. Although there is no taboo magic, I still have allies, friends, and things worth protecting. That's all. A few years later, Alsace mainland finally recovered its life, the city was prosperous again, and the villages were filled with laughter. The lighthouse built that statue for me in the capital, saying that people come to pay tribute to the words of the prophet's son every day. Cindy and I became guardians of the mainland. Although we had no magic, we continued to protect this land in our own way. I stood in front of the statue and looked at the scene of my name and fighting on it. I had no pride in my heart, but had a faint thought. Although those days of fighting were difficult, they also made me transform from a waste into a real hero. I turned to Cindy. She was smiling and talking to me about some reconstruction plan. The sun was particularly beautiful on her face. Yaokun, what are you going to do? Let's go, there are still many things waiting for us, she urged, full of vitality in her language. Here. I smiled and answered, keeping up with her steps. The wind blows over and brings the fragrance of the fields. I know that the future of this large area will be getting better and better. And I, Yaokun, will keep this peace until the last moment. The story ends here, it is full. I have come from a spitted village boy to this day, becoming a legendary hero in the Great Wall of Elsa's, defeating the Lord of Darkness, breaking the prophecy, and paying forbidden magic, but changing to the rebirth of the entire world. All hatred and unwillingness turned into clouds at this moment. Cindy and I will continue to protect this land so that the light will never fade.